Hey guys, it's Saru, and today's Velik's Hold Hard mode has released on TERA console. I went in with my guildmates and it was a pretty fun time. Even though most of the players didn't really have PC experience in the past, it was fun to try to figure things out with them and just enjoy ourselves. However, after clearing it, we knew that there would be some issues or questions of how to do this dungeon exactly, and it could basically come about at any time. So, here you go. So, if you've seen my previous video, then you know that for the hard mode guides, I don't really mention the normal mechanics because I've already mentioned them in the normal mode videos. And if I repeat myself, it's really just another normal mode video with some attached mechanics. So instead, I'll give you the rundown of the brand new mechanics in this dungeon, and maybe you'll learn something new today. So Cavador, or Nightmare Cavador, has the exact same f***ing mechanics as normal mode. The only difference is a few things, apart from the fact that, well, things hurt a little harder. So the pounce that he does, as you can see here, it will stun you as it does in normal mode, however it cannot be cleansed in hard mode. Usually it'll be fine if a healer can do Kaya's shield or heal them throughout the time that they're stunned, but you want to avoid that and kind of do your iframes right before he does land on you. The second thing is when he calls for reinforcements. The Cavador calls for reinforcements mechanic. Now, in normal mode you can get hurt and survive, but in hard mode you will die. If they touch you, you're dead. You're dead, Nancy. You're dead! Anyways, lastly is the breath attack that he does in a cone-shaped AoE when he targets a player with secondary aggro. Now the only difference here is that basically it hurts more. That's pretty much it. The only real mechanic change in hard mode here for Cavador is the rolling attack. You see, he will select a random player and it will say Doom. He will then roll to said player and you can just walk away or iframe away before he gets to you. He will do this 3 times, so to 3 different players in total, so keep that in mind. Also, if you get hit by it, you will die. See, easy. Now pro key. Before I say anything, I hope you guys have done normal mode a few times to understand these mechanics, otherwise this video is going to seem rather lazy to you. So, let's begin. Now his normal attacks are the same as normal mode, however there is a special move that he does, as well as when he says his power is overwhelming. He will create a whip out of rocks and target a random player. The player will get whipped, if you're into that kind of thing. Now here's the tricky part. If the player is near rocks, that whip can make the rocks detonate, which means a possible wipe for your whole raid. As well, if you get hit, well, you get hit with a debuff for a few seconds that will bleed your health and it can't be cleansed. So, healers, you might want to keep that in mind. One more thing that is different in hard mode is that any attack can potentially destroy the rock boulders instead of just a hammer. So keep that in mind when you're tanking the boss. Now the final thing is the Arg away with you. Just like in normal mode, if you have 3 or more boulders on the arena and the boss is near the rocks about 15 meters or so, the rocks will then detonate with a 10-meter radius. Now the difference here is that it will hit you for 200,000 damage and you'll most likely die. And no, you can't iframe it. Lastly is Isobel Dig. Now, he's a little different than normal mode, and you'll want to truly pay attention to the amount of booms he does, or else you'll end up on the floor all the fucking time. Trust me. So his normal attacks are pretty much the same with his axis, but for his special move there are only 2 differences. So, for example, with his Sonic the Hedgehog spin that he does, when he looks over his shoulder, he will then curl up in a little ball and jump just a smidge, just like the first boss that we mentioned, Cavador. Anyone that's caught up in that little mechanic will get hurt and they will have a bleed as well. So, healers, you want to go ahead and cleanse them because all your DPS are probably going to do this, because let's be honest, that's all they do. The second difference is when he says, fall before me. Now if you get hit by it, it will instead do 100,000 damage and it will stun you as well. So that's important for you to note because it will hurt quite a bit. And that's pretty much it for differences. Now for the special mechanics for this boss are, well, different. Slightly, but different. So everything is pretty much the same except for one mechanic, which I'll explain afterwards. So one thing you guys should know, and you guys probably will know, that the pylons will explode from his smash attack or when he does his Kamehameha attack when he's targeting a player on them. Now, the only difference here is that the pylon puddles, or the puddled pylons as I said in my last video, we'll call them lava for now, will hit for 200,000 damage now, give or take, and you'll pretty much die. Now keep in mind that it's usually safe until they fill up, and you can see the lava filling up the whole AoE area, and you're safe until it does fill up. When it does fill up, you're dead. Now the second thing that is different is his boom attack. Now this time is that every single time that he does his boom attack, he will do a body slam right afterwards, which is basically he'll jump into the air for about 2 seconds and come down. Now if you get hit, you'll be knocked back, and if you're hit into a puddled pylon, you're dead. So if you're you're a class with only one iframe, such as myself, I recommend the following. Now, if you're a priest, get hit by the boom itself. Maybe use Kaya's shield right beforehand, then when he's going to do his jump, do your backstep or whatever your iframe for your class is, and you'll be safe. Now, that's only for the first 2 booms. Now, if you've done this dungeon before, you know that every 3rd boom is a critical attack. At least that's what they say. He throws you into the air and, well, you could possibly die. In this one, you will die. What will happen is this. You'll be thrown into the air. Now, if you somehow survive, you'll come back down, and you think you're safe. However, what he's going to do is select a random player that was in the air and throw vomit at you. Usually, players are stacked together, especially if you're DPS right behind the boss, so you'll probably all die at the same time. There's no escaping that one, hombre. So, you want to make sure that every 3rd boom you are iframing right before he finishes, or else you will probably die. And there's a chance that you could wipe the whole party if everyone just messes up. Now, the important mechanic. This boss requires 2 healers. I know I said that. Unfortunately for me, but it is a must. I tried to do it with 1 healer. Not really possible at this very moment. I'm gonna have to get geared up a little bit more. But I do recommend a priest and a mystic to get that power buff and crit aura going. It'll help. So at 50% and onwards, he will say beware. He will create this fire AoE around him, which basically hits for 10,000 damage per hit. Now at this moment, he will get an orange buff on him. I'll show you here on this video. And as you can see here, only 1 healer needs to do Plague of Exhaustion or Regression. It cannot be both healers, and I will tell you why in a second. So in my case, I went first because this was decided before the boss started. So like I said, I went in first. I went to dispel his first buff. A couple of seconds will pass and he will show up again with an other orange debuff on his bar. Now the second healer that has not debuffed whatsoever needs to go and debuff him now to dispel the buff. So similar to Nightmare Lackalith or Nightmare Lilith if you've done Ruinous Manor hard mode or Lilith's Keep hard mode, except it requires 2 healers. Now if you fail to dispel this after 6 seconds to his buff, he will do a huge AoE attack and you'll basically be wiped. However, if you manage to dispel both buffs, everyone will be hit for about 50,000 damage and survive. You will, however, have an ongoing fire debuff on you that cannot be cleansed, and the healers will just have to be aware of this. Now if you have a priest in your party, you probably want to use Kaya's shield. This will allow you to heal and, well, absorb a little bit of the damage from the fire debuff. And that's it. The rest is pretty much the exact same as normal mode, which you can check in the description below because I'm not going to say the whole same video. I hope this helped you guys, and much love to everyone in my guild Ascendum that participated. We are currently recruiting, so if you are active social and on the Darkened server on the PlayStation 4 North America, we'd love to talk to you. Make sure to subscribe and click that adorable fucking bell to know when I upload a brand new video. Much love, and as always, till next time, friends.